can't believe the day has come.
Yep.
I hate to say that we knew it would come, but
I mean, it's been
We looked at
3
the day.
years in the making.
We looked at the day and we said, "Don't come," and it said, "I'm gonna come."
It's true.
We just
Only
edged
you
this
could make
day.
a joke like that at a time like this.
We just edged the day for like a whole year longer than it probably should have been.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a good run. It's been a crazy, fun run. I mean, 52 episodes for this past, what we consider our calendar year. That's not bad.
It's true.
And that's on top of like all of the episodes that were already done. I mean,
I gotta say, ending on a note like this is, I don't know, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what
100%.
we accomplished. And I couldn't ask for a better way to shut it down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To say goodbye, to pack it up, to put it up on the shelf.
Yeah.
You guys,
I would much rather end it.
You guys have been. Go ahead,
I would much rather end it on like this high note that we have, and all the incredible experiences we've already had. It'll free us up to kind of assess our like own futures going forward and just kind of move forward and enjoy that. So, and you guys will still definitely be part of that, to whatever extent you can be. So
yeah.
I mean,
well, guys, go ahead, Josh.
That's where I was just gonna go. I was just gonna say, I've really enjoyed getting to know you guys over the past 3 years, and I'm really excited. Like, I made friends.
Yep.
We're ending this up, but as it says, there is no ending to the wheel of time. That.
Yeah. I mean, we'll still be.
The thing.
We'll still be going to like events and stuff because even though this is ending, the love for the fandom doesn't end with this. So
absolutely not.
But we'll stop being ominous now, guys. Sad news. This is it. This is the last episode that we're going to be recording for the Black Tower podcast. We knew it was coming, and like all good things, they have to come to an end. So interesting stuff and more exciting stuff can come in the future. And we look forward to experiencing that and bringing it to you in season 3 of the Black Tower podcast.
Yeah! Hey! Season 3 is going to be the Black Tower podcast. Shocker, motherfuckers.
We could not resist.
It's true. No, it's true. This will be the last episode of the Black Tower podcast you hear of season 2.
Correct.
Season.
Also, I just want to say we all know without a doubt that Josh has 2 kids. I am 99% sure that Andrew and I also both have children somewhere, because the amount of dad jokes that we put out there, like see you next year on New Year's Eve, are like too high, because that was like the epitome of see you next year.
We couldn't dad joke it. We had to go a little fish.
Yeah, we had to clickbait you a little bit.
Yeah, indeed. Though I will admit, I do like the idea of Morshadi and I starting our own podcast called What Actually. Sounds like a fun thing to do. Side project, yeah.
Get some side action.
Indeed.
All right.
My side pod. It's like my side chick, but not.
I love it. I love it.
Oh man,
It's
Yeah.
the best.
I think we can be. I think we can be in an open podcasting relationship. I think we can make that work.
It would only
Podcast polyamory.
It would only be with certain people though. Like Morshadi has earned getting in on the open podcast. There are others who have definitely not earned it, who would definitely have to put in some work for the podcast polyamory.
Yeah, why not?
Oh god.
Oh,
Why not?
so
Sure.
So now that we're done with our jokes, we actually do have a podcast to do. Oh, I didn't mean it in general. I just meant that one.
We're never making a joke ever again.
Nope. Now it's a somber podcast forever.
Yeah. We do have an announcement. We do have an announcement and a welcome and a thank you to issue out to Kat R. Welcome to the ranks of the Black Tower. Thank you for joining our family and becoming a family member at the Black Tower. Hope you enjoy the grounds. Definitely avoid at least half of the barrels of wine. It's probably not that safe. But the rest of your family will look out for you. Make sure you don't drink from the wrong barrel or the right barrel. Depends on your perspective.
Or the right barrel.
Yeah.
Depending.
So, but
I
thank you
am just
so much.
now imagining that in the great hall where we all eat, in the mess hall of the Black Tower, there is an entire wall of wine in barrels. And then there is one barrel set aside that everyone knows not to go near. And then there is another shorter wall of barrels that just all have different kinds of hot sauces. And you just like a ketchup dispenser, you just take whatever it is that's being served in the mess.
That sounds
and you walk
amazing.
over and you just put as much hot sauce on it as you want. And then you just...
I need that in my life.
If anyone in our Discord or who is listening right now live or who is listening right now recorded episode, if you are good at arts, you are good at the artistics, you are good at drawing the things, if you want to go ahead and draw a great picture of the mess hall of the Black Tower, I would fucking love to see it.
Wall of taint.
Right? And it would be great if all of them have different Watt names on them. Like the Camelin chili pepper, or like the Kyrian, or wait, what's good? The
Gai'don.
The Kyrian Reaper.
Yeah, there we go. The Andoran ass fuck, like
that sounds like a different move.
Sure, but or the Andoran ass destroyer, or like
still sounds like a different move. If you're looking for a milder sauce, they have one called Elaine's bathwater. Still spicy.
Oh shit!
Oh, I love it. All right.
Sign me up.
Indeed.
Speaking of signups and things that will require signups, if you're listening to this live, you know that the Gathering Madness is this coming weekend. If you are listening to this...
Wait, that's this weekend?
Yeah, it's this coming weekend as we're recording. But if you're listening to this later on, whenever it releases publicly on Podbean and YouTube and everywhere else you can find the fantastic podcast that you love and us, we had the Gathering Madness the weekend of the 15th and 16th, and I would love to go ahead and tell you how it went, but I can't because it hasn't happened for me yet, but it's going to be fucking new.
I can already tell you it's going to be that fucking cool.
I always love this. Just reminds me, I always thought that like I wouldn't do this, or that like I wouldn't be on something that does this, but this always reminds me of like the late night shows when they do like a show on election night or whatever, and they're like, blah 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 blah. We'd love to tell you how the election went, but we recorded this at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and therefore we don't know.
Yeah. But there will be, if you're listening to this after the 15th and 16th of October 2021, you can find the 3 panels that we hosted for the Gathering Madness on our YouTube. Those will have been done as live streams. And there's an open recording that you'll be able to find that's going to be out there on YouTube, because we're going to record that as part of a live stream. And then soon to come after, there's going to be an episode that we record that's not a live stream, that we will be recording at the Gathering Madness. So physical attendees and other individuals that are with us on Zoom can kind of listen in on. I still got to figure out the logistics of that. So don't shoot me if things work in a wonky, weird way, because we record using Zoom. But since we'll all be together, technically we can record using something like OBS and then still have the Zoom open and make sure it's not capturing sounds from the computer, which we'll probably have to like mute Zoom for us recording. But anyway,
it's going to be fun. And everybody who was there enjoyed the hell out of it, because they're awesome and you're awesome.
And I can tell you right now, I can even say with confidence at this moment that all of the panels were lovely. Every single one of them.
Yep. That being said, we're going to try to take some pictures and stuff and all that kind of stuff, and that'll take a lot of the space on the TGM page on our website. So head on over to blacktowerpod.com. Sorry for the quick interruption, but just wanted to take a second to make sure you knew about blacktowerpod.com. It is our very own website with very handy links for you to access all of your favorite Black Tower podcast stuff. Whoa, a break-in during a break-in for a plug? Yes, Patreon. It's a fantastic place for you to support your favorite content creators. For as little as $1 a month, you can throw some support our way and help us continue what we're doing here at the Black Tower podcast. That $1 a month will get you into our live recordings. We will also shout you out during an episode, and you get access to record a spoiler warning for our episodes that we will use. There are some other perks like our Sword and Dragon Challenge coins that you can only get by being a Patreon member. And there are perks as far as getting some different random merchandise from us and things like that. Go on over to our Patreon and check it out. And we thank you again. Now, what was the other plug I was doing? Do you want to post in the forums on the website? There's a button for that. Do you want to join our Discord and talk to us there? There's a button for that where you can just click and join the Discord right there. One click and done. Do you want to check out our merch? There are buttons for those. If you want to see what we've been doing recently, there's a section called Dragonsworn On Demand, a calendar for the Black Tower. We thank you so much for checking it out. And now, let's get into the episode. All of our links, as well as a link to our channel sponsor, who we'll talk about a little bit more in a second. I keep saying channel sponsor, like this is like catered for YouTube. The official sponsor of the Black Tower podcast.
It's getting there.
So yeah, head on over
like
to Black Tower Pod.
Video aspect.
Oh yeah, it's fun. But go check out blacktowerpod.com and check out what's there, and maybe not immediately after the event, because we're probably going to need to be able to get home and recover a little bit. But there in the near future, we will have pictures and maybe some videos and different little things from the Gathering Madness up on that section of the website. Should be doably. So, but after you get done basking in all of the taintiness that we bring, and you feel the need to cleanse your aura, make sure you head over to thecrystalbarista.com, which you can do by clicking the Crystal Barista's wonderful chibi on our website down towards the bottom, or just go to thecrystalbarista.com. Sorry to cut in again, but we got to take a second and thank our channel sponsor, the Crystal Barista. Make sure you head over to crystalbarista.com and check out all of the amazing rocks and minerals and the tools for rock hounding if you want to do it on your own that you can find there. If you want to do subscription boxes, Crystal Barista also offers monthly subscription boxes that are delivered directly to your door and hand-packed by Crystal Barista with the assistance of our own Sorvan Mahale, Josh. Also, make sure you check out the Crystal Barista's Facebook page at facebook.com/rockpick. That's pick as in pickaxe with a K at the end, for all of the amazing deals that the Crystal Barista does do from time to time. It's also the same place where if you're in the local area, you can see posts and updates about coming events. Make sure you head over to crystalbarista.com and then check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/rockpick. And when you're done getting everything you could possibly desire from crystalbarista.com, make sure that you let the Crystal Barista know the Black Tower podcast sent you. Now, back into the episode.
Josh will never be off the streets and acting like a good boy. He doesn't do that.
I mean, maybe for like a day or two. Who knows?
Okay. All right.
I mean, if we can reduce his juvenile delinquency down to like 28 days instead of 30 days,
it is made the world a safer
progress
place.
is progress.
Right. Yeah. Progress is progress. Anything worth doing is worth doing wrong.
Yes.
At least twice.
Or worth doing so well that everybody else can't help but tell you how you're doing it wrong. Also a thing.
Dude, can I just tell you, just real quick, there's a guy at our work right now who is a manager, who is an assistant general manager, who's supporting our store right now because one of our managers just left and another one's on maternity leave. And so we're getting managers in from other stores to support us for the time being. And he is driving me absolutely fucking nuts. Because I was shift lead last night, which meant that I was in charge of a lot of different shit at the store. And he kept on coming over and being like, hey, we're going to do this. And I was like, your logic doesn't even make sense here. Like, why would we do whatever the fuck you're talking about? You have no idea how we work. You have no idea what's intelligent. And you have no idea, like, what's going on. Like, just leave my face. Because you're making my job so much harder. And I wanted to slap him. But I couldn't.
I mean,
and I would have.
That's fair. Because of assault charges. I know.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Protecting.
Wait, that's a crime?
Rights.
Assault?
How do I turn off my location settings? Quick, help.
Yeah. Well, it also depends how justified you are, because I don't think that the police would have thought I was justified. But if somebody is like doing other stuff and you just slap them right in the face, the police will show up and be like, wait, why didn't you hit him again? And then they'll slap him and then leave.
But Your Honor, I said I would hit him if he didn't shut up. He said bet, which I took personally.
He said bet. And I took that personally. So what are we talking about tonight?
My religious view is that I get to defend my honor, and I will not be called out in such a shameful manner.
Your Honor, he slapped me with a little leather glove, so I picked up a gauntlet and I slapped him back.
Can you also speak with an actual English accent?
Yes, because unlike some other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent.
Too bad your key doesn't fit the belt. That's unfortunate.
Oh,
locksmith! Locksmith!
All right.
Oh, the locksmith!
So before we get into the topic of this episode, patrons listen live. Let's see. We're gonna go with Old Dirtbeard. I want you to pick us a number 1 through 8.
I love it.
1 through 8. The choice is yours.
Pick a number through 1 through 8.
Old Dirtbeard has picked number 7.
Take me to heaven.
Old
Lord Farquaad, you have chosen number 7.
Welcome to the Black Tower, a Wheel of Time podcast.
Yay.
All right, let's check this one. This podcast episode will likely be spoiling all of the books in the series, but if Daniel is in charge of the recording, it'll never hit the editing bay. So just in case you're some masochist Patreon supporter who hasn't read the whole series and just gets off on being part of lost episodes, how about you put that spoiler condom all the way on?
Excellent. I think that's only the second time we've ever played that one because I don't get called out that much.
Oh,
And
I look forward.
just
I
to
look
make
forward to the
sure,
season 3 spoiler warnings.
any Patreons who are currently listening, I am not in charge of editing the episode. Therefore,
Oh, it's the recording.
you're fine.
It's the recording part.
Sorry, I am not in charge of the recording. Therefore, you're fine.
And we got the voice, the henceforth named sirens of content that call to us when we start recording.
Indeed.
We've heard the voice, not the song, but we've heard the voice. So, for this episode, now that everyone is properly prepared for the taint to follow, what are we talking about, Josh?
That's my really poor attempt at a drum roll. While I stall.
Well, it's fine because you're using
about.
your Wi-Fi or your internet is acting like it's McDonald's Wi-Fi from a mirror world anyway.
God
so
damn
it could just be delays.
Tonight we're about the important you and take the things, and you need all of a sudden put a pineapple on his ass.
You're doing it so well that I actually thought that your internet was fucking up.
I did too. I was like, Jesus Christ, it's gotten worse.
That was actually really excellent. But can you also actually tell the people what we're talking about? Because I was so worried there for a second.
If we edge them much more, they're going to explode with anticipation.
Patient. I love it. I love it. Okay. I wasn't kidding. I am actually pulling up the spreadsheet right now.
With anticipation.
Would you like to phone a friend?
Patient.
Dude,
Nope,
I would
did
not.
you see the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in Britain for a little while that was hosted by Jeremy Clarkson? And they added a new lifeline, which was Ask the Host. And it was the most useless lifeline because he would totally they would be like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and use my lifeline. I'm going to ask the host. And then Jeremy Clarkson would be like, I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea the answer to this question. It's fucking hilarious. Anyway, Josh.
Okay,
Pardon this
here's
brief
what it is.
technological
Here's what it
interruption.
is. And, ladies and gentlemen, tainty boys and girls, today we discuss Tarman Gai'don itself. The last battle. It's the big one. It's the climax. We're discussing the climax.
And let's be honest, this is everyone's climax. I know that we're three straight white dudes. And so some people might think that we're just talking about half the climax because we don't care about the other people's climax. But this is everyone's climax. This is all of the climaxes, all happening at the same time as God intended.
Simultaneous. Indeed.
Yes.
So it's going to be, yes.
As some lovely folks in our Discord and Patrons have pointed out, through asking if we have done certain episodes, we have discovered that episodes that I know at least I thought we had done, we actually haven't. We've talked about the last battle when we did Memory of Light, a review of the Memory of Light.
Times.
Yeah, we talked about
it. I don't
it a
know
ton,
if you guys know, it's a big deal in the books. So we talk about it with some regularity, but we've never actually focused on specifically the last battle and done an episode on it.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing now. So if you notice other episodes and things like that we haven't done a specific episode on a topic and you would like to see it or would like us to do it or just think that we should do it, whether you want to hear it or not, please feel free to shoot it over to us, tweet at us, Twitter DMs, email, Discord, whatever the case is. We have a whole channel set up in our Discord for BTP feedback. You can throw it in there, and if you're one of our patrons, there is actually a topic recommendation channel for you where you can suggest topics. And if we're kind of like, oh, what should we talk about, and everything, we'll try to pull from topic recommendations first, and then any that we find in feedback. So definitely hop over and do that, because we have a whole another 52 weeks of episodes to plan out.
Yes.
With heavy quotation marks.
Also, we do have a lot of background breakdowns to do, but that's like one a month. So we've got like 12 of those, which means that we've got like 40 more episodes to figure out. And we can only do things that were suggested by other people that we just not copy, but give our take on Dusty Wheels topics so many times in a year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
when all else fails, we'll just pick something that Dusty Wheel hasn't talked about, like specifically for like at least like 3 months, and then we'll just do our take on it.
Exactly.
you're like, oh, that was totally original.
Yeah.
Though I will also say,
Torment Gai'don. Okay.
I do want to throw out there just real quick, guys. Please go ahead and give us topic recommendations. We do want to go ahead and hear what you'd like to hear about. And also, I will tell you, for better or for worse, we are aware, and I hope that you are aware, that an not insignificant amount of our episodes in this coming year are going to be about television episodes. We will absolutely still be doing topic things about the whole book series. That's what we started as. That's what we want to do. I'm not saying we're getting away from that, but also do be prepared for a certain number of episodes about television, about the episodes that are coming out from Amazon. So just
including the live streams for the What TV show Fantasy Draft.
Correct.
Which we've got to get that information up, because Matt did send us, like, not Matt Hatch, but Matthew Smack. He did send us the Google Doc with like a Word Google Doc with all the stuff on it. So we got to get that up and out there for those of you that want to play it as well, which we heavily encourage. Make it a thing. Make it a big thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Excite it, arouse it, engorge it.
And again,
feed it
we
Viagra.
did say, and I very much still believe and am on board for, right now, the three of us are playing this game in the Black Tower. We are competing against each other for bragging rights and, you know, minor prizes and things like that. Next year, for season 2, I would fucking love to do a Black Tower team against patrons, against other content creators, against, you know, a much larger pool of people going ahead and doing this, because this would be so much fun to do with more as well. I want to keep it small this year. I love it being intimate and fun. But next year, fucking all bets are off.
Well, and here's the other thing too. You guys need to realize, and Smack, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he has offered to host this for other people as well, if they'd like to do it in season 1. You are not restricted in participating in a Black Tower podcast Wheel of Time fantasy game. If you would like to host your own, if you're a content creator, or if you're someone who just loves the show and you got a group of friends that want to do it, a group of friends, then you can contact Smack or contact us, and we can get your contact information, and you guys can do that as well. You have time. What is it? You have just about a month to get everything, to get competitors together.
Correct.
Yeah. And if I can remember to do it and get it done, I'll try to go ahead and include a view link for the rules and everything in the show notes and description. If it's not there, please be understanding of me, because we record on Tuesdays. On Wednesday evenings, I run Adventures League for D&D. This Thursday, I have to do editing, and then I have a meeting that I have to attend. And these knuckleheads will be invading.
Show up on Thursday.
Yeah, we'll be invading my hold sometime Thursday evening. That sounds wrong.
Oh, we
We're
will
invading your
definitely be bringing
Well, who knows?
we
We have a lot of alcohol.
a hold gift.
And I'm sure there's a couple
Or-
bottles of lube stashed somewhere around here. I don't know. I mean, what? Anyway, speaking of lube, Tarmageddon, you're going to need it because Tarmageddon needs you to put a condom on your heart because it's going to fuck your feelings.
So
Oh yeah.
just as an example. Fuck, I can't even talk. I have two
Too
friends
excited.
who
Too
both
fucking excited.
just finished the Wheel of Time. Like seriously, within the last 2 weeks, finished the whole series. One of them was like, the guy, he finished it and he was like, dude, that was crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? He's like, we're talking about it, getting all excited about it. My other friend, who is a lady of the female persuasion, spent about an hour one night yelling at me. Fuck you! No, fuck you! Seriously, this is bullshit! You're such an asshole! You're so grounded! Fuck you! You're so grounded! You're so grounded! And we've already got the spoiler warning, so she's like, "Not Egwene! Fuck you! Not Egwene! Is Oliver dead? Is Oliver dead? Don't you? Is Oliver dead?" And I'm like, "Do you want to know?" She's like, "Don't tell me! I'm so mad at you right now." One night in particular, I think she was at the part where like Birgitta died and Oliver was in his hole and Egwene died, and she was like screaming at me, and it was hilarious. And I was like trying hard to be like compassionate, but at the same time I was laughing my ass off. And the next day she was like, "Yeah, I should have kept reading because it got."
You should have just hit her with the good old Ravo.
No, it was a good experience though.
Can I just say, I want to throw out there, Josh, have either of these two people joined our Patreon? Because I have two family members that are either in the middle of the books or haven't read at all, and both of them have joined our Patreon. And so if your two friends are done with the books, and then they...
You know what? I'm gonna ask them. I'm gonna message them and be like, "So you've heard? Like, what the hell, man?"
No, I know. Also, to be fair, my family members are actually family members, and therefore
Andrew coming in clutch.
I know, right? I love that. But we're not here to talk about friends. We are not here to talk about their experiences. We are here to talk about the last battle.
An epic struggle between the forces of light and the forces of shadow. And I forgot to close my door. There we go.
That was so epic until you got to the end.
Yeah, well.
That'd be like Liam Neeson being like, "I have a very particular set of skills. And if you bring my daughter back now, that'll be the end of it. But if not, I will find you, and I will kill you. And I forgot to close my door."
All right. So I think one of the fun areas to start this off with is the concept of how long the last battle lasts.
Oh, I agree.
Other battles are kind of a little bit easier to envision because there is no time dilation that happens.
Yep.
Last battle,
Yes.
not the fucking case. Because
it's like a 300 movie where time just slows and extends at will.
Yeah.
And so there will be moments where it just goes into slow motion and King Leonidas takes 24 seconds to go ahead and jump and spear somebody in the face. And then it'll take no time for an entire army to die.
I love it.
Yeah. So with that, so we know that the closer to the boar that you are, the slower time moves. So, it's kind of like the original actual concept of Narnia, that it actually doesn't pause time in the real world and you come back at the same time. It's actually just a very, very super dilated time.
Yep.
But so there's two schools of thought, one that is wrong and one that might be right. The first one is predicated on the
and one that is Andrew's.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say it. It was peer reviewed and found to be a thing. So there is one school of thought that takes Rand's first skirmish with the Trollocs at Tarwin's Gap at the end of the Eye of the World as the quote unquote start of Tarmangaiden.
As the kickoff.
If you agree with that and choose to be wrong, I mean, just choose that's what you agree with, then Tarmangaiden lasts for 2 years. It lasts from 998 to 1000 NE. However, I don't think it's realistic or fair or even plausible, because until we get to the actual Tarmangaiden, there is no other major movement of the Shadow from the Blight to invade any part of the Westlands.
Well,
and
also,
yes, I'm saying it wasn't a major movement for the Trollocs that moved into Amon's Field for the Battle of Two Rivers.
Yes. Well, also,
event,
let's remember that when they describe Tarwin's Gap, they talk about it happening every year. They talk about it being sort of like an annual Trollocs testing the Borderlands every fucking year. And so if you think that Tarwin's Gap was the beginning of Tarmangaiden because Rand shows up, like, I get what you're saying and I appreciate what the logic is there, because it's something distinctly different that happens that year that doesn't happen the year before, that doesn't happen the year after, that doesn't happen whatever. But it's sort of like an annual testing, not actually a last battle piece, if that makes sense.
And it thing to keep in mind too is Agelmar himself said, and I think this is why people get the Tarmangaiden vibes, because he just straight up says, he goes, it's Tarmangaiden out there. Like, I've never seen formations and movements this large. So yes, it is the largest force that has ever come down through Tarwin's Gap. And I don't think it's the beginning of Tarmangaiden. I think what it does is set an illustration as to how strong the Shadow is and how far the rest of the nations have to come in order to present a good defense against the Shadow.
Well, and also, I mean, look at our real life terminology for things. I mean, people go ahead and call things Snowmageddon and, Pizzagate and whatnot. It's just a reference to something that actually happened, like Watergate or the actual Armageddon and whatnot. And it doesn't mean that whatever they're talking about is actually up to the level of what Armageddon would be, but it's the thing that they're comparing it to, because they have no barometer for what the actual Armageddon would look like.
Exactly.
And so when
it's like Agelmar saying it's raining cats and dogs out there.
Yeah, exactly. When Agelmar goes, it's fucking Tarmangaiden out there, and then he sees Tarmangaiden, he's like, yeah, no, never mind, I take it back, that was no Tarmangaiden. This is like,
no, I was right. I was looking behind what was going on, like on the horizon. Something wicked this way.
Uncle Agelmar is never wrong. Let's just
he's not right now, except for the times that he's
So here is my thoughts on what I think are the actual times that it takes. Starting with the forces that are farthest away from the war. These are going to be the forces that are fighting in the Westlands proper. Forces that are fighting in Caemlyn, in Kandor, in Shinar, the Field of Marilor, all of that. I think that lasted a few months. And albeit I'm giving it a wide range because I wasn't able to sit down and actually read through it to look at it to narrow it down. But I'm going to say anywhere from 2 to 5 months.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah. So I'm thinking 2 as a minimum, 5 as an absolute maximum. It's probably more around the 3 to 4 month time. And there's some credence to that I have listed on later, because I went through and wrote up like a numbered, like, brief overview of the events in chronological order that they happen.
All right.
And there's like 62 of them, so we have plenty to talk about.
Right.
For the forces near the boar, but not actually in the pit of doom, these are going to be all the IL that are defending the valley while Rand goes in to the actual pit of doom. I'm thinking that the fight lasted no more than like a week, maybe 2.
Yeah, no, I think that's solid.
And for Rand, Nynaeve, Moraine, Morden, Tom, and the Dark One, if you want to include the Dark One, since he was kind of there, and for a brief moment he was in the pattern, the fight likely only lasted a few hours, 2 to 5 hours, kind of maximum.
Mm-hmm. Though again, time gets so fucky in the boar that it's hard to specifically
actually,
say,
I might need to dial it down.
I think that,
might need to dial it down 1 to 2, because the whole exchange between Rand and the Dark One is happening kind of outside space-time. So that time is kind of negated. Like, time for Rand and the Dark One it doesn't exist for them in that moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the things I absolutely love about this aspect, though, is you get a situation where the armies have played their hands and the forces of light have come out on top. We've won. We've beat the Sharans. We've beat the Trollocs. We're gathering our wounded and our dead. We're standing there and everybody's going, where's Rand? Haven't seen him. And then you go to the boar, and as you said, you've got this time dilation, and you've got Rodel Idaralde, who is still fighting Trollocs. And then you go into the boar itself, and Rand is still squaring off against Moradin. And it just, it is such an amazingly well-written sequence, because you've got all these people that are like, yes, we've beaten the most desperate part of the battle. And it's like, no, you have not.
Right.
You'll be out here for another week.
Most desperate part of your battle, but there's still shit going on. Yeah.
But also imagine the morale
You'll be here another week before you know.
Imagine the morale boost of fighting, going into your second month of fighting and being like, fuck, I don't know if I can keep going. And then you're close enough, or you can look over and you can see in the distance the clouds above Shao Ghul, and you can see that the Aes Sedai symbol is still rotating in the air above, and you're like,
yes,
the fucking dragon has been fighting for 6 weeks straight. I'm not tired.
Right?
In reality, for him, he's like, no, dude, it's still the fucking same day. Like, what are you talking about?
It was like dude,
I was going for like an hour.
Well, and I love that you already mentioned the fact that Rand, who fucking knows? I mean, there is so much that's like, he spends you cannot measure it technically amount of time just outside of time moving. And he has entire conversations, sees entire worlds, sees entire lifetimes outside of, what it is that he's actually doing. And I think that is one of the most impressive parts of the last battle, is that, like, Rand actually has the fortitude and the understanding of what's going on to talk to the Dark One through an entire series of events that may or may not last like fucking infinity, and then comes back and is like, all right, cool, and now I'm gonna finish this up. Like,
Rand's sitting there looking at the dark one like, come here, lover boy. And if he still
Right.
doesn't answer, oh, lover boy.
Do you know that whole sequence of events is just, I mean, the time dilation aside, when you talk about someone who is literally outside the pattern, and we could probably do a whole episode on this, where the Dark One and Rand are weaving realities back and forth, combating each other.
Fucking mind-blowing that is.
Right?
They're literally weaving
those,
realities as if they are PowerPoint presentations for the other one.
Right?
but is that the actual pattern? Like, are they dipping their hands into the actual pattern and weaving those realities? Like, do the people
I think they're
those
reaching to a
realities and not
mirror
know?
world. I think they're reaching to
They
like
would
a
have
mirror
to
world
be.
that shows kind of where it's happening. Because if you have
Right?
infinite
Yes.
mirror worlds that seem
Son of a
less or more
bitch.
real, all they're doing, I think, is grabbing a mirror world that fits what they're trying to show, whether they consciously know that's
that
what they're
could
doing or
make
not.
sense.
And them pulling it and showing it is what adds solidity to it. It makes
Yes,
it look
and I
more
was
real
gonna
than it
say-
is.
Yeah.
I feel like since the Dark One is so close to this world, I feel like where he is, or where they are, I really should say, means that when you pull a mirror world into there to sort of show it off, it really does feel like a real thing. It really feels like you can look at it and get everything you need out of it, and it's not as blurry and it's not as off color and it's not as whatever. It feels solid, it feels real, it feels like what's going on right now, and so they can actually look at it and be
Like our
like,
poops after taste the tape.
yes.
A-
Oh, I'm pretty sure mine are gonna be very
Painfully
runny.
accurate.
We're gonna be fighting over the
Painfully
one bathroom.
Accurate. No, I'm gonna hit your kitten.
Sorry, physical attendees. The one restroom in my house has now been marked for Friday evening as podcasters only.
Yes.
We're gonna,
just kidding.
we're
We'll
gonna
get
have
a,
to rent a porta john.
that's what I was gonna say.
Ah, we live in the South. We're just gonna pull up some buckets, cheap
There
at
you go.
Lowe's.
There you go.
There we go.
Got some cardboard boxes you can put up dividers in between. Just have
Excellent.
everybody gets a like shitty pair of like skull candy earbuds so they don't have to hear each other. Meanwhile, like Craven County Police Department shows up because all the neighbors are complaining about the smell and the sound.
I
All right, so do y'all agree with kind of like my breakdown of the time, or was it?
I think
I
so,
do.
yeah.
Okay.
I like it because, like I said, you've got everybody in the fields of Marilor and the borderlands that are holding off, in Camelin, and they're doing a tactical retreat, and all this is happening in one timeline. And then I feel like you've got Rodel Ideralda, who's defending Shale Ghul itself, happening in a. I know the time dilation is progressive, but for all intents and purposes, you've got one timeline which is out fighting in the world. You've got another timeline which is fighting around Shale Ghul, trying to make sure that Trollocs and Shadowspawn don't make it to the boar itself. And then you've got the timeline of the boar itself, where
Yeah.
which
And
outlines
can I
the
just
3 separate battles that they're having. Well, there's 4 total battles going on, but yeah.
Sure. Can I just say that I want to take a moment because we've mentioned it now twice. There are 4 great captains that are fighting in this battle, and 1 great captain named Matt. And the 4 great captains all get compulsed, and they're having a rough time. And a number of them, once they realize that they've been compulsed and sort of get it fixed, are like, you know what? I'm out. I don't actually want to be part of this anymore. Like, I will still sort of fight and I will still do whatever, but I'm not making decisions anymore. I'm done. I'm over this because my shit has been so rocked right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that one of the 5 captains is my goddamn favorite is because Rodel Ideralde does not do that. He absolutely goes, I'm sorry, you did what to me? Great. then I need to stick it to you that much harder because of what you did to me. And therefore, then
more pissed.
Right? I am going to turn around and fight that much harder because of this shit. And I love that attitude, if you will. I mean, like, I want to make sure that I do not throw the other captains under the bus because I get it. I do.
Oh, sure.
You deal with that shit and you walk away. I'm not telling you that you are not respectable by any stretch of the imagination. But also, like, holy shit, Brodell. Whoa. Like,
well, Agomar even says straight up, he's like, I am not trustworthy. I cannot do this. I will not do this. I'm done. And as a matter of fact, I think he retires for life.
Basically.
Like
he's
like,
out.
The shame of what happened, he's just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
And again, I wouldn't be surprised if he basically pulls like a Mistress Luhan and just like goes back to where other people are waiting. And then if anybody makes it through, he is like, no, I'm going to kill him. But like, he is done after the last battle. He's like, I'm out. I'm done forever. Somebody else is going to take over Shinar or Faldara, really. It's their time, not mine. I'm done.
All right, so let's get into a kind of overview of the events kind of as they happen in chronological order for the last battle. Obviously, the first thing that happens is the forces of light and the forces of shadow muster. They come together, they're assembled under their different areas. Most of the forces of light are assembling at or near the field of Marilor that are currently at the beginning of this. Then the Shadow makes the first true move in war and runs 4 distinct simultaneous Trolloc invasions. The first being into Kandor, the second being into Saldea, the third into Shinar, and the fourth into Andor. Only the first and the fourth are actually successful. So in Kandor, they overrun Kandor and take over Kandor. But this is overshadowed by the fact that they fail to take Saldea and Shinar. So it gives them a strong foothold, but it fails to secure the borderlands under the control of the Shadow, which is very important. The second is they take Andor by taking Caemlyn, which is of a special note because this is the first time that we see, the first real time we see Demandred at play. Demandred has led this raid on Caemlyn. He's aware of Eludra's dragons, and his primary goal is to seize or destroy Eludra's dragons. So Elaine, Eludra, Talmanis, and the Band of the Red Hand, minus Matt. Matt is not there. They launch a counterattack, and they are able to remove the dragons, losing only a couple of them. They don't really lose many. But ultimately, Caemlyn is lost and is now under control of the Force of the Shadow. So the largest continuous landmass nation, capital, is now under the control of the Shadow.
So at the same time, to be fair, it's also like, it's also like a capital in the middle of a bunch of stuff, and they don't actually have a really good line down to it. They use cheat codes to get to it.
Yeah.
And therefore, they're like kind of sitting ducks there. Because since they fail in their ultimate objective, they're like, well, now we die. Like,
and I'm pretty sure they empty Caemlyn in pursuit of Talmanis and the dragons. They pretty much they leave a very paltry and small defensive force in Caemlyn in pursuit of Talmanis and the dragons. And
that happens.
Elaine,
I think they try to pursue them, but they break off pursuit, and the true pursuit from Caemlyn comes later.
Okay.
So next we see Mazrim Taim formally joins the Forsaken and is named Mahail. So like that is his Forsaken name. That is just his name, Mahail. Yes. Bran then prepares to host the meeting at the Field of Marilor. And Matt returns to Ebodar to try to locate Tuon. finds that a bunch of her generals have hired assassins. Ebodar is now plagued with assassins trying to kill Tuon. Matt kills several of them, and he's like, this bloody woman is putting me in so much danger. There's bigger shit, and I'm here killing assassins. But he does ultimately like defeat any assassins that come for her, and they reestablish their control over Ebodar. At the same time, Andral and Bavara they've obviously noticed the events in the Black Tower of time forcibly turning so many people, and the absence of Logain. And they stage a rescue attempt for Logain, which is kind of what kicks off the chasm and the I don't want to call it like a civil war, but
I think it's fair to say a Black Tower civil war, because that's kind of what it is. They even make the comment,
but it's more like an Avengers style civil war than like a U.S. civil war.
Yes, there are far less participants than in the actual civil war.
But it is noted the majority of forces are aligned with Taim. Like he has the majority of numbers, which is for the majority of this the case with the Shadow.
I don't think they ever specify how many of them are actually evil, though. I would like to throw that out there. I would like to think that there are some of those who just go, Taim's in charge. I have to follow his orders because he's in charge.
And then, of course, when they discover that Taim is actually the bad guy, they turn back and go, whoa, hold on. But his orders are bullshit, though.
And then their turn.
Yeah. Sometimes,
I think, well, because we don't, not saying it doesn't happen, but we never see anybody that returns to Logain's camp from Taim's camp. So,
that is true.
And given the meticulous and cautious nature of Taim, I think it's more likely that he's either assured your allegiance to him, whether by loyalty or fear, or by turning.
That's fair.
Right.
So, go ahead.
I was just going to say that exact same thing. It's that Taim was careful, and I think that any of the followers that he selected or
My eyes are bugging me, sorry.
had under him, he would take steps to ensure that they would be loyal. And any of them who went, oh shit, this is not where I want to be, probably found themselves too late in a situation in which they were being turned or killed because
So it's after this point that Rand reveals the Dragon's Peace, and the whole heated discussion ensues until Moraine returns and kind of calms things out, and are like, hey, look, this was inevitable. This is so obvious in the prophecies. I don't see how you, especially you, Egwene, how you missed this. Almost like you call yourself the Amerlin, but you're so naive about the prophecies and what we know is going to happen.
You're so naive about the.
Oh God,
you're so naive.
And it's at this moment that, of course, the Avienda and the Aiel in attendance demand that the Aiel be included and be made kind of like moderators and prompters for all of the disputes. And it's also made clear that everybody party wants the Shan-Chan included in the Dragon's Peace. And Rand's like, look, if you'll all sign, I'll get the Shan-Chan on board. Once the Dragon's Peace conference is done, and Elaine is put in charge of the Forces of the Light en masse, she divides them into 4 campaigns. The first is to go to Caemlyn, and the goal is for Caemlyn to be retaken by Andoran and Kyrian troops, with Elaine as the main battle force commander, with Davram as her aide-de-camp, her advising general. So really making probably the decisions until they realize it's not a great idea because Grendal's a thing, or Hassalam at this point is a thing. The second is to go to Kandor.
I'm sorry, ugly ass bitch, you mean?
I didn't say that. Definitely described that way, but I didn't say that.
I did. But only because it's in her character description. I would not say that unless it was in her character description.
Yeah. The second campaign is to Kandor and Tarwin's Gap, which are currently overrun with Trollocs. Despite Lan and all of his forces, like the forgotten sons and daughters of Malkir, plus all the other Borderlanders that are like the fucking Golden Crane. It's like Jesus.
Yeah.
But Gareth Bryn is
Kind of.
named commander for the Forces of the Light going into Kandor, which Lan is like, God, please, yes, fucking take over. Like, I didn't want this shit to begin with.
Yeah.
My wife made me do
my
this.
wife.
I don't want to be here.
Yeah. Let's see. Egwene also sends Aes Sedai reinforcements, and Kandor and Tarwin's Gap become the main battlefields for all the Borderlanders, with Algamar as the commander in Shinar. So that's our third campaign. And the fourth campaign is Rand leading a force of mostly Aiel into Shao Ghul itself, with Rodel Ituralde as the actual commander under the Lord Dragon. It's after this that we as the readers get to see, but it's not quite found out yet in the books for the characters, that the 4 remaining Great Captains, because obviously Pedro Nile is no longer a thing, they are under compulsion from, we surmise at this point that it's Grindal or Hassalam. Or Hessalam, sorry. While the forces are moving out, Rand does go and visit Tuon and Abu Dar. And through their discussion and Rand taking on the sin of allowing the slavery of Damane to continue as far as what they already have, but barring them from gaining more, especially in the Westlands, he takes on that sin, but does secure the Shan Chen forces to join the fight against the Shadow. So after this, he travels back and then goes into the Pit of Doom, into the actual Thakandar Valley, and up to the mountain in Shao Ghul, where all of the forces are.
Itself.
Yeah. All of the forces he brings with him, per his order, are ordered to simply defend the canyon while he does what he needs to do. That's all they're there for. And of single forces versus combatants in an area, they fare the best. A lot of them survive fairly well considering the scale of battle that's happening. And this is where we get to see that the closer to the border that you are, the slower time is moving for you. And this is what allows Rand to actually begin the confrontation with the Dark One halfway through Memory of Light. Without it being like, wait, this should be the end of the books. Like, this should be like one of the last things. Like, no. He's accompanied
such a
by
brilliant writing method. Like, God.
Yeah. He's accompanied directly by Moraine and Nynaeve, with Tom standing guard at the entrance to the Pit of Doom. And of course, inside is where the party encounters Morden, and they begin to fight. And the fight gets interrupted when Rand steps too close to the boar and makes actual contact physically with the Dark One.
Yep.
Which, like,
there's like 62 of these points. I don't just want to like read through all of them.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it is such a good. That's a good battlefront too, though, because not only do you have, Moradin standing there with a sword waiting, you've also got can't remember, Morel, who bonded Rand in the very beginning, and she's bleeding out. She's restrained to a wall, and she's.
You mean Alana?
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Alana. Yeah, and she's bleeding out. Like, they were like, yeah, we've timed this. Okay, we're going to kill her, but we're going to kill her at such a time that you lose control, go into a warder's rage, and then we'll defeat you easily. And congratulations, I win again. Lose Theron, flicker, roll credits. In a way, him stepping into and making contact with the Nether or the Void, where the Dark One resides, kind of saves their bacon. Because, yes, he's outside of time, and so they're all standing still as he's out in this void. But I'd like to think that it gives him time to kind of think about, okay, what's going to happen when I go back in there, and I need to know how to deal with this and how to work with this. So I really like that from a storytelling perspective, because it prolongs, so it adds tension, right? But it also prolongs the hope for a solution. So I love it.
Indeed.
It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Moving forward from there, we switch to Perrin, who enters the Wolf Dream, or Teleron Riad, in an attempt to protect Rand from his arch nemesis Slayer, Perrin's arch nemesis Slayer. He encounters Lanfear, who proposes herself essentially as an ally to him for the moment. But Perrin again loses his fight against Slayer, is grievously wounded, and returns to the waking world to be healed. And it's around this point that Perrin and Egwene realize that the seals they have aren't actually the seals, that before they even gathered, the seals they have were swapped out for fakes. So they're like, oh, fuck. While this is happening, Elaine and Caemlyn realizes what's going on and makes the decision that she would rather see Caemlyn in flames than controlled by the Shadow, and orders the city razed by her forces, and they retreat, and Trollocs then pursue. And this is where we see some of the first instances of the compulsion on the great captains having some effects. Bashir makes some mistakes, and the forces retreating from Caemlyn become pinned just outside of Kirian, between the Trollocs from Caemlyn and a new force of Trollocs that have been brought down from the north. But in typical Ashaman fashion, the now freed Loghain and the Ashaman that are actually holding true to their name and actually serving good and following Loghain show up, and they reinforce Elaine and Bashir's forces, and they rout the Shadow forces and push them back into Shinar. Meanwhile, at Kandor, Egwene and her forces are holding out strong. They're doing pretty well. And then the motherfuckers we have not seen at all for the entirety of the series say, knock, 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 knock. Hello.
Oh, by the way,
Sarah. And yeah, so
Hello,
Sarah.
we are from Shara. We are here to fuck things up.
So the Sauron military shows up underneath the leadership of who they call Bayo the Wild, which is a Sauron version of the Dragon Reborn, who is, of course, actually Demon Dread. And they're like, how could they have outflanked us? It's a fucking Forsaken. They do what they want.
Yep.
Big gateways, all these tricks, all that kind of
they
shit.
do all the things.
Matt
Whatever
and
Rand can do, they can do. Mildly worse, but they can do.
Yeah. So as luck would have it, Lucky Boy Matt and the Shanshan forces that he now commands as the Prince of Ravens ride into Kandor to reinforce Egwene and her forces. And seeing what's going on with Bashir, Egwene puts Matt in charge, in command of the forces. Like, look, he's fucking up. I don't know what's going on. You're always lucky. Just fucking deal with it, Matt. Like, you can do it. And Matt looks around and he's like, yeah, let's go back. And the forces pull back to the field of Marilor to actually start the core of what we would call Tarmogoyden.
Yes. Well, and I love how Matt looks around and he really does go, I can literally see the parts of this where you were and were not compulsed. Like, so much of this is super smart because it wasn't under your compulsion, like, kind of shit. But some of this is really stupid because it was under your, like, compulsion banner. And he's like, cool, I don't have time to go ahead and separate these different things. We're going to go back to the fields of Marilor and we're just going to start this over because I do not have time. We're just going back.
Yeah. So it's back at the fields of Marilor where Matt and his forces get about a week to fortify their position before they are attacked again. And this is one of the things I point to as for credence as to why the forces in the main Westlands that are actually fighting farther away from the Boar are fighting for, a period of probably around 3 months, but 2 to 5 months. because Matt got a full week to prepare for this whole battle.
Just for starters, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this is after
that's
so much
the
fighting and
thing
marching,
that
because you got to
gave
think like
everybody,
the marching time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the scope of this battle.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah, but he's been pushing the troops hard. They're tired and they're depleted from weeks of battle, as is always kind of cliche fantasy kind of stuff. The situation looks bleak, and it gets made to look even worse because Dimidred leads a force of hundreds of battle-hardened Chandlers, male and female, some Sarin, and some from the Mahale himself and his
Fuck
Turn
that guy.
followers. And it seems like they have an unlimited reserve of Trollocs. Because, it's not like for the past 2 years, the Shadow hasn't been just like constantly spawning Trollocs like it's going out of style.
Agenor
sets
would
up
be very proud.
Yeah. Matt has set up a command post to command the forces under him, and it becomes quickly apparent that there must be a shadow spy among them for how the enemy is actually reacting to the orders he gives and the tactics he uses. So Matt just goes, you know what? We'll do it live, and scraps the whole battle plan and just makes up tactics on the fucking fly.
I love too how he feigns like, oh no, we're so in trouble on this area. Oh no, we're so in trouble on this area. Like he just does it so well. I absolutely love it. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
I think that one of the fun things about Matt is that he plays possum so well. And it really is a super boon because he knows that if he was fighting Rodell at Aralde, non-compulsed, Rodell wouldn't take the bait. Rodell would be smart enough to know that that's not true. But Matt looks
There's
at the
no
force of the
Nigerian
shadow.
prince giving me hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right, exactly. But Matt knows that the Trollocs and the Murdral and the Dreadlords and the Forsaken are just so egotistical that he goes, oh no, look at us, we're losing. And they go, damn straight you are, hit them harder. And then it's like, oh, you're adorable. You took the bait.
You're so cute. You're so cute.
Where are my Hinderstap, fucking reinforcements? Where are my,
brilliant.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's great. Because again, every time Matt does that, every time he plays possum, he has a plan and he just goes, wait for it, and crush him. Let's go. And of course, again, shit. I will admit that on so many levels, Matt does sacrifice a lot of lives. He absolutely does. And war is hell. And I do not want to diminish the fact that, this is a tactics game and you do need to use people as bait. But holy shit, is Matt good at that, of sacrificing 1,000 for the sake of destroying 100,000.
I'm gonna do what's called a pro gamer move and murder hobo zombies.
Right.
You literally have an entire town's worth of berserker zombies.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get nice.
That's the best way to describe that.
It really is.
Berserker zombies.
Berserker zombies.
Or zombies.
Anyway, continue.
Which makes it even scary.
So at this point, because of his tactics, Dimidred is like, I'm fucking sick of it. We're done. I'm ending this right now. And shows up with, just a tiny link circle. It's only 72. And he's got a saw Angreal.
Yep.
Can you fathom the amount of power with a link of 72 and a saw Angreal? Holy fuck.
And not only that, but one of the more powerful saw Angreal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't just like a random saw Angreal. It's not like a bracelet that some snake foxy people gave you. This is the real deal.
You dick.
So he's Dimidred just starts laying waste. Absolute waste. And he starts with what he couldn't finish off in Camelin with Eludra's dragons, and they lose a fair number of dragons. And I believe it's at this point that that Talmanes, being the fucking brilliant guy that he is like, we scouted at a mountain, we're pretty sure it's fucking hollow. Bloop. We just
Andral knows. He says, look, I've got an idea. He says, I've got an idea, and it's going to be unconventional, but I think this is going to be good. And so
Talmanes goes, unconventional? Where? Point me in that direction.
Sign me
Our
up.
motto is unconventional.
And so
the motto of the Band of the Red Hand is it unconventional? We do that first.
Do you think the band has daddy issues now because Matt's now the Prince of Ravens and leading the forces of Shan Chan? Like, Dad left to get milk and cigarettes 3 months ago.
Never came back. Yeah. No.
All right, that's it. We're going with Uncle Talmanes. Let's fucking.
Matt just shows up to command them and is like, "You're doing well, boy. You're doing well. I raised you right. You didn't raise me at all." Exactly.
I love it because Talmanes is like, cool, let's go into this stone coffin, and I'm gonna have these Ashaman open up gateways. I'm just gonna blast the shit out of these guys. And it turns out
created the first lawsuit against 3M earplugs. Dude, have you seen, I know I sent it to you on TikTok, there's a video of it's 3M doing their PR release of them making the N95 mask for COVID and everything, and then it's got a veteran sitting there watching it on his phone, and all you hear is the ringing of tinnitus.
Yes, I've heard it, I've seen it.
Yep, I seen it.
I know I sent it to Josh, and the only thing I put was sorry. Because I know it acted like Tourette's, but for my tinnitus, and that's all I could hear for the next 30 minutes.
Oh, it was so painful. No, I've got one that says, tell me you served in the military without telling me you served in the military. And I sat there oh, I'm sorry. Are you talking to me? Sorry, I can't hear anything.
Just need you've seen the movie Jarhead, right?
Oh, it's a great movie.
Yeah, you remember the guy that? Oh no, not Jarhead. Black Hawk Down.
Also, yes.
The guy that's not wearing his ear pro, and the guy lets loose with the 249 right next to him.
Yeah,
he's look at him move. What?
I will admit that also reminds me very much of the Malcolm in the Middle episode, where they set off the fireworks and then it turns to daytime, and they're like, "Did they say when we get our eyesight back?"
Makes me think of Archer too. Just
yes,
right.
So many representations. Anyway,
so Talmanes is now inside the most fortified of positions, firing a point blank range. We've got grape shot, we've got chain shot, we've got he ran out of cannonballs, and he's like, I don't give a shit. Throw rocks in there. Right, we're blasting these guys at point blank range. It was amazing. And then he's got a small force of infantry that are killing anything that manages to make its way through. Well, and of course,
that when it comes right down to it, there are actually enough Ashaman in the place that Andrel's I'm Gateway Savant. And then there are 3 other Ashaman who are just meat grinder.
And fucking Andrel's just sitting there Oprah with gateways. You get a gateway, you get a gateway, you get a gateway. Here's a big gateway. Right? Could you imagine being the Trolloc about to slash down at your opponent, and this hole in space-time opens in front of you, and
it just takes off your whole arm.
Cannon just...
Takes a whole new meaning to taking a load to the face.
Right? Well, and I also love how, again, it's not their intent. I recognize that. But can you imagine, how smart it is on a outside of Tarman-guided level that they're mining this mountain and also using it for battle simultaneously?
You know how many diamonds they probably accidentally shot through Trolloc?
Right?
This here is what we call a blood diamond. It's soaked in Trolloc blood from Tarmogoyf.
It's a
This here's
blood
what I
diamond.
call a pro gamer move.
Pro gamer.
All right.
I love. So then what? Okay, so next big thing, like let's hit. The
So
next.
Matt stages
There's
a
lot
falling
to
out
get
with
through
2-on.
still.
There is, yes.
Yeah. I've like. Do you guys have like a hard out within
Nope.
like the next 10 minutes?
Oh God, no.
If you do, by all means, continue. We'll just finish without you, as usual.
Indeed.
Giggity. Yeah, so Matt taking a page out of Rand's book whenever he did this with Perrin in front of everybody in Kyrian or Camelin.
Stone of Tears.
Was it Stone of Tears?
It was Kyrian because he goes down to
It was before Ilion.
Ilion after that, so it's Kyrian.
Yeah,
okay.
It was to like provide a disguise for why Perrin was leading troops down into
right.
Ilion. So Matt was like, "That was a good play, yoink." 2-on, I fucking hate your guts. You're an asshole. A 5-piece McFucknugget. I don't like you anymore. I don't want to be your husband. Fuck off. And 2-on's
Also,
like, fuck
we're
you.
gonna fuck later. Shh.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
And so 2-on and the Shan forces piece the fuck out, apparently. And you're like, everybody's like, okay, cool, that works. Perrin is now healed enough where he's like, I can't leave Slayer out there. He's probably putting dream spikes in everybody's asshole again. I gotta go back. And he goes back into Talkaron Riyadh. Not Talkaron Riyadh, that's a podcast. Teleron Riyadh.
Shout out to Talkaron Riyadh.
Yeah.
Super cool bunch of peeps, though.
Hope you enjoyed them on the 2 panels they were on, or some of them were on.
It's gonna be awesome.
So then Avienda,
awesome.
yeah. So while Perrin is like, I'm gonna go traps in through the dreams, Avienda and the IL defenders in the Thakandar Valley around Shao Ghul suddenly get faced with somebody who tries never to show their face.
Mhm.
Le Grandal / Hesalam shows up, and they did do battle.
Mm-hmm.
Same time, Horn of Valir is being carried by Fael. And the whole thing was like, get it to Matt. Matt's got the bond to it. He's got to blow it. Let Barney blow. I made myself sad.
Wow, yeah, I don't know why you did that.
Because it's a good hashtag.
It is a good
It
hashtag.
It is.
But also,
Well, I mean, anyway, we know that that's not a fruitless endeavor because he technically could blow it. Anybody that's with the light could still blow it. It's just no longer bound to him, which is why they're trying to get it to Matt.
Yep.
But
they don't actually
problems-
realize that it's not actually bound to Matt, is the thing.
Yeah.
They think it's very much still bound to him because he blew it the first time. And therefore, they are trying desperately to get the Infinity Gauntlet to the Hulk. I mean, the Born of Valir to Matt. And
Hi, Peter
they
Parker.
are
Got something for me?
failing a little bit.
Yeah. So Fael has to improvise because things get in the way, much like the endgame reference.
Right? Exactly.
And is improvising,
Fucking
running around,
Nebula.
trying to get it where she can. Dimodred and the Mahale are still wreaking destruction on the force of the light, and Dimodred is just bellowing out, "Come and face me, Rand! Face me, dragon, you coward! Loose there and bring it on!" Meanwhile, Rand is
Ileana! Oh, wait, sorry. That's
Rand is so far off in Shao Ghul. Obviously, he's not even hearing this. He's not even aware this is fucking happening because he's like,
Oh,
I'm
I
dealing with a
love
way
the
bigger
idea
fish.
that Rand is hearing every single time Demandrin goes ahead and yells, and he's like,
and just laughing
shut
at
the
him.
fuck up. Like, yeah.
From his perspective, Demandred is like yelling at him every like 30 seconds, but in reality, it's like 4 times a day.
Well, no, I also love the idea that
Mom,
he and Moradin
Mom,
are both
Mom,
hearing it.
Mom.
Well, I love the idea that he and Moradin are both hearing it, and both of them are looking at each other like, dude, will Demandrin just shut the fuck up? Like, this is between you and me. Who gives a shit about Demandrin?
Shut the
Fuck that guy.
Mordin's just sitting there as Nablus being like, go to sleep, kid, and let
Right?
me have
Like-
coitus with mom. Piss off.
You know you're not actually nameless, you dumbass.
The Trollocs have all gone to bed. Along the shadows, the Murdrows creep. Seriously, Demondred, you're not Nay Bliss. Go the fuck to sleep.
Then we get to the absolute pinnacle of both the best and worst thing that Gawain has ever done. The best being fucking dies. The worst being he burdens Egwene with him dying.
Yep.
He's like, well, if one blood ring bestows power, what about 3? Joink, joink, joink. So he tries to stack all these buff. So he's stacking buff event items that actually aren't worth shit against the boss you're fighting. Because he goes up, it's like, Demodred, I'm going to cut your head off.
That's essentially how
it's
it was.
It's a little
too.
more extended than that, but yes.
I mean, a little. But
those are the beginning result or the beginning event and the end result.
Yeah, he gets fucking backhanded down. It's like, nope.
It's not even close.
Galad, of course, sees this, is aware of it, sees that his stepbrother has just gone down and is definitely dead, rushes in to try to finish what Gawain started, and much like fighting Matt, falls short.
And Gawain, in his last breath, looks up at Galad and goes, "Oh no, stepbrother, what are you doing?"
I'm stuck in this mortal wound. And Galad is himself severely wounded trying to face down Demodred. Because at this point, like, Demodred is fighting them both without the power. He's just straight out sword playing both of them. Like, oh, you think you know how to use a sword? Ho, 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 ho. Peasant. Ho, 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 ho.
Well, and he even says to Galad, he's like, okay, you've got some skill, but you're still not even close.
Right?
And I like that he kind of acknowledges Galad a bit and is just like, okay, yeah, you're good, but you're not good enough.
Well, and I also love the idea that, like, Gawain goes up to challenge Demondred, and he's like, "You're even wearing blood rings, you dumb fucker," and then just stabs him right through. And then Galad comes up without any assistance, without any blood rings, without anything. I mean, he is,
That's a good fucking
he walks
point.
up and he just goes, "Cool, I am going to sword fight you." And Demandred goes, "You know what? You are infinitely better than your brother. And I have to acknowledge you because I didn't just stab you through. I did stab you, but I didn't stab you mortally." And then he's just like, "But also, I did just totally best you with a sword. Moving on. Lose Thera."
It's at this point that Matt's command post is directly attacked by the Sauron forces, and Suan is killed in the attempt to defend, which of course throws Gareth Bryn into a water rage, and he basically looks and he's like, "I've lived a good life. Into the teeth of death I go." Fucking charges.
That's my secret, Matt. Suan's always been dead.
I love
God
it.
damn.
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah. But he rushes out in a water rage, takes down a good number of attackers before succumbing to their onslaught and dying himself. At the same time, Elaine is captured by several guardsmen who turn out to be dark friends, who, in addition to displaying a fake corpse of hers on her horse, also kill Brigitte, which raises the question: what happens when the hero of the horn is ripped out of Teleron Riyadh and then dies? Do they actually go back? Spoiler alert, they do.
Yeah, they absolutely do. You've already goddamn earned it. Once you die, you get to go back.
Yeah. Fael and her group arrive in Marilor. They're disguised as a supply convoy for the Shadow, but as soon as they show up, are almost immediately betrayed from within their ranks. Who would have seen it coming? And Fael is willing to sacrifice herself to be a distraction, throws the Horn of Valyr to Oliver, and says, "Fly, you fools." And Oliver takes off on Bella with the horn, running towards Matt's banner. It's at this point where Bella
One of the
is
three
allegedly
good things in Fael's life that she does.
It's at this point while he's running that Bella is allegedly killed from underneath him. That was retconned in the companion. Take from it what you will. And he finds himself cornered by Trollocs, and then it shifts over to Andral and Bavara, who have managed to actually track down, they're in disguise, and they've tracked down the Mahale, and they steal the remaining seals from him. Meanwhile, Egwene, now in a full traumatized state and rage state from losing Gawain, bolstered by what's her name? The like recuperated Shan Chan woman that bonds her kind of last minute to help her survive a little bit.
Yes, Lyle.
Or, yeah, the sea folk. Oh
Yes.
no, yeah.
Yep.
She takes and already exhausted from using a Sangreal for this entire time, takes the battlefield personally against the Mahale. And the Mahale like uses Balefire, wipes out a ton of Aes Sedai, which instantly brings back a ton of his side and followers. And out of desperation and just sheer badassery, Egwene discovers the weave known as the Flame of Tarvalin, a weave that can counter Balefire and repair the holes in the pattern, which is both, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because it's this weave that she overuses, resulting in her own death, but she takes the Mahale and most of the Sauron channelers with her when she turns into a crystal gem.
Hell yeah. Well, and she even kind of discovers this on spur of the moment because he's balefiring the shit out of everything.
Yes,
and reality
really
starts flickering. Like Egwene is noticing this and is like, okay, this ain't cool. And as she's looking at the spaces that are affected by the balefire, she goes, hey, and she kind of has an
epiphany. Well, and I love this moment because it's one of the ones that really feels like it was building too. It's not one of the ones that comes out of nowhere, which granted, most of the ones that come out of nowhere still feel like they're built upon when Luz Therin teaches Rand how to do a bunch of different things, which is just Rand's subconscious sort of helping him out and assisting him and doing things like that. But Egwene has already had the training in Teleran Riyadh, the understanding of how weaves work through, Elaine and Avienda, who can unravel things really intensely and, create ter'angreal out of nothing and things like this. And
plus Perrin batting off her balefire.
Well, and that was what I was literally about to say. And then very recent to this, Perrin just as you said, bats it off and goes, it's just a weave. And it blows her mind, but also makes her think about things that she's never thought about before. And this is the moment where she takes every single piece of every single channeler and Teleran Riyadh user that she's ever known and goes, it's just a weave. And fixes everything. I mean, not actually everything, but fixes so much in the moment.
Well, and again, it's a good counterstrike in that moment because Taim / Mahale is the only one ignorant and dumb enough to use balefire on this large scale.
Kinda, yeah.
Lightning,
only one.
Lightning from my hands.
Exactly.
Bars of light from my hands. Way too many bars of light from my hands.
All right, gentlemen. I got to go blow myself up on some electricity.
Do it.
But you guys.
I'm going to recommend you don't do
I'm
that.
gonna. It's going to happen at least twice.
Well, we will see you on last Thursday.
In 2 days ago.
Yes.
I don't know.
No.
Whatever. Time is weird. And
Back in the day,
is what we're talking
it's like a
about.
circle.
It's
There are no
like a
corners. It's like a
All
circle.
right, gentlemen. Have a
All
good
right,
Take care of yourself.
Okay, now that the square is gone,
Yeah. Now that
You can really
Daddy
jam.
Podcast is gone, we can talk about all the things that we want to talk about.
yeah. So moving from here, this is when Galad hands his copy of the Foxhead Medallion that Elaine has made over to Lan, who then faces Demandred in sword-to-sword combat, which is finally like the true test and testament to Lan's actual prowess with the sword. Like at this point, taking down a Murdral has, I don't want to say been cheapened, but it's commonplace. Like plenty of people do it. Tomanis does it. A lot of people do it. This is where Lan actually gets to shine and show like, yeah, I just defeated a uber powerful channeler with a Saw Angreal with this here pokey metal stick.
Which, granted, he would have had no chance if Demandred had just channeled at him, but at the same time, again, well, not necessarily.
He had the medallion.
He does have the Foxhead medallion, but we all know that if Demandred had just channeled so that the earth swallowed him up, that would have been a way to get around it. But again, Demandred is such an egotistical fuck that he goes, no, swords. And Lan goes, really? You're going to fight me with a sword? Yes!
Yeah, I mean, pride cometh before the fall. So.
Exactly.
But it does leave. So basically, Lan like she's the sword to defeat Demandred. And it's apparent, like it looks like he's dead, but he's not. So moving on, desperate, cornered by Trollocs, facing certain death, Oliver, in a last desperate move, blows the Horn of Valir, and much to many people's surprise, it works. And he is now tied to the horn, and it brings back the heroes of the horn, including Birgitta, answering that she did return to her status as a hero of the horn. And I think she even remarks that she didn't see Gatto Kane anywhere, so she figures she'll be spun out again soon. Yep. But for now, she's like, here for revenge, motherfucker.
Yep.
Can't kill me now.
Right.
And so then at the same time, Matt with the Shan return as reinforcements after having removed their embedded spy, and they sweep the field clean. Like it's a clean sweep. They come in and they remove all opposition from the field of Marilor. It's at this time that in time equivalency, we turn back to Rand and the Dark One, who are outside the pattern. And the Dark One's like shows him a blighted world where he's won to try to break Rand's resolve. Rand is like, yeah, but counter offer. Here's a world where humanity has defeated the Shadow and flourished. And the Dark One's like, well, counter offer. Here's a world that looks prosperous, but Rand sees that the people in that world have no compassion. They're broken because they've never been exposed to good. This is a world without good. And as a retort, Rand tries to show him a world where the Dark One does not exist. And Rand comes into contact, like it appears like a utopia, everything seems perfect. And Rand then talks or sees Elaine and notices that something about her seems broken. Something's not right. She's devoid of something. And Rand looks at the Dark One, or, looks at the Dark One, is like, what did you do to this world? And the Dark One's like, nothing. It's as simple as if you take all of the good away from people or all the bad away from the people, they are incomplete. It diminishes who they are. While this is going on, Matt has rushed to get to Shao Gul with Oliver and the Horn, and Perrin is continuing to pursue Slayer, even though he is now aware that File is missing again. Then in Teleron Riyadh, Perrin almost falls to Lanfear's compulsion, and she's trying to kill Rand in Teleron Riyadh. But Perrin's love for Fael is what saves him, allows him to resist it, and he literally just grabs Lanfear by the neck and fucking snaps that shit.
So messed up.
Loki versus Thanos.
Yeah.
Matt, at the same time, faces off against Padan Fane and seems to have defeated him. I don't think it was an actual defeat.
Correct.
But, that's a different story.
Yep.
Oliver, again, uses the horn to bring the heroes of the horn into the realm to help defeat the remaining forces of the shadow. Avienda, having this entire time been fighting Grendel in the Thakandar Valley, finds herself very wounded, backed into a corner with the imminent threat of Grendel pushing her under compulsion, and manages at the last minute to rebound or reverse Grendel's weaves. They rebound onto Grendel, making Grendel Avienda's mind-controlled servant. Pessalom, however you want to call her. So Avienda comes in clutch. And then we get to the crux of the entire event, the entire series. So during the fight between Rand and Moradin, once Rand is kind of stepped back into reality, oh shit, there goes gravity. Moradin seizes control of Kalendor and realizes that it can amplify the true power. So he's like, I've got this in the bag. But Rand, with the help of Min, who is not a fucking lamp, but for nothing else for this exact singular reason, knows that the flaw in Kalendor is that if a man is using Kalendor, a woman can control the man. Yep. And so Rand, Moiraine, and Nynaeve, basically Moiraine and Nynaeve, take control of Moradin, and collectively the three use his power and his link to the true source and their own links to Sidar and Sidene to weave a massive amount of the three powers combined.
By our powers, three combined.
Yeah. Logain sees the signal and, under direct orders, though posthumously from Egwene, shatters the remaining seal, which thus fully frees the Dark One from his prison. And Rand takes this huge weave, grabs the Dark One, pulls him into the pattern to make him a thing of space and time, and he's like, I'm going to kill him. But then he has this like anime-style flashback to the world devoid of the Dark One. It's like, I can't do this because this will break people. This will remove the humanity from humanity. So he puts the Dark One in and then puts the Dark One out, kind of shakes him all about, does a hokey pokey, and fully legitimately patches the bore as if it never even existed, thus banishing the Dark One.
Pokey and he seals himself around. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So by this point, the bore that has existed for 3,000-ish years now seems to be completely patched, repaired as if it never existed. And at that point, essentially, Tarmageddon is over. The rest we see are after effects. Like without the Dark One's influence, the blight begins to dissolve and retreat. Matt has his reunion with Tuon, and she's like, I'm pregnant. Gardenet.
I'm pregnant?
Yeah. How get permanent? How to get pomegranate? Perrin is just like riddled with guilt over abandoning Fael to help Rand, even though he knows like it was fate of wife versus fate of all life. Searches for her and finds her buried under a bunch of Trollocs, but still very much alive. Loyal, in typical Loyal fashion, shows up and tries to pull Perrin and Fael to get statements from them, like a fucking weird-ass, no-sensitivity cop, because he wants to add it to his book. Catswain, much to her dismay, is made the Emerald seat. Mo Gideon is captured by a Suldam, and they're exploiting loopholes all fucking ready in the Dragon's Peace. Hesselom and Grendel is last seen just being this shell of a worshiping person worshiping Avienda. Tom, Moraine, Lan, and Nynaeve, they wait in attendance on Rand, who is very clearly unconscious and slowly dying of his wounds from the battle, because the double wound on his side has opened up and just no matter what they try, cannot be closed or healed.
Oh, but wait.
Yeah.
It's not actually Rand.
And of course, they've pulled him and Morden from the actual physical boar itself, even though there's now technically no danger in being there. It's just the point where the pattern is thinnest. Perrin makes the suggestion that we should, hey, we should get Elaine and Min and Avi in here so they can pay their last respect. Like this is their boo. And the body of Rand dies from his wounds and is burned on a funeral pyre. However, Elaine, Min, and Avienda do not grieve. They do not seem guilt or grief-stricken or anything of the nature, and they kind of like do the whole like walk off into the sunset thing. And at the last minute, Catwayne kind of notices what's going on and notices that she can see the body, that she can see Morden up and about, and given her knowledge, she figures like, okay, that's actually Rand, and she just kind of smiles. And
it's the Michael Caine moment at the end of the movie where he thinks he sees Bruce Wayne alive and well, and whether it's true or not doesn't matter. She smiles to herself anyway because she's like, all right.
Yeah. So if nobody has ever done it for you, or if you might be confused or whatever the case is, that's a chronological breakdown of the last battle.
Yep.
So that's how it happens in the time it happens, accounting for time dilation. That's all the news that is news that can be news. It is news.
All the news that's fit to print. Yeah, I honestly, the last battle is a book in and of itself. The chapter is so goddamn long, which seems appropriate because if you actually broke it up into chapters, it would feel incorrect. The fact that there is a chapter that's called The Last Battle is the right thing to do, even though the chapter is then a book by itself. And I think it is so well crafted. One of the things that I love about this book series is that up until this point, especially in a book series that is built on resurrection or reincarnation or whatever it is that you want to call it, depending on who it is and what the situation is, we have lost a few good people. And they do or don't come back depending on the needs of the story. But this is the moment where you actually do feel the Game of Thronesiness of book series, that good people can still die, that characters that you have absolutely fallen in love with are not safe. And even with sort of Ta'Veren armor or sort of like, next to Ta'Veren armor and things, Egwene still dies. Birgitte still dies. There are people who absolutely go through traumatic shit to get you to the end because war is hell. And the last battle is no exception, and it's no cakewalk. And while granted it is very much a happy ending, and there are absolutely more good characters that come out alive than there are good characters that die, it is still very much a moment where it feels very real. It feels very raw. It feels very very much like you're seeing something that could go horribly wrong. And sometimes it does. And I've always really appreciated that about this particular chapter, that it's not, oh, our plan goes It's not Ocean's 11, where even though it kind of looks like things are going wrong, the whole plan does actually go off without a hitch. There is so much shit that happens there.
Does
It
go off
only
without a
comes
9-horse
out,
hitch?
right? It only comes out as good and winnable because there are people who have made good enough plans and are adaptable. And there's so much that goes wrong in it that really feels right, that feels accurate, that feels good.
Yeah. And
and
there's
I've
so
always
many
really
more.
appreciated that.
There's so many more like finer details that we didn't even talk about, like Rand's literal cloak and dagger, a dagger that cloaks you from the view of the Shadowling. There's so many of these details that make the ultimate climax and the finale of the series so much more than it actually is. The sea, all this kind of stuff that we didn't talk about, because we were briefly, that was a brief overview of the last battle.
Yeah.
But the things that it facilitates happening, there's so many stories where you're like, the main character, the main hero or heroine only has to do this one thing. And it allows the main savior character to only do that one thing, but uses metaphysics and a mechanism that makes sense. If there is a breach in the space-time continuum, it would make sense that the closer you get, the more distorted space-time is going to be. It provides a rationale and explanation to why the stalagmites and stalactites are, which one's the ones that grow from the ceiling?
Yes.
The stalag insert whatever ending is correct, because I don't think they're really on the floor. Stalactites. Thank you, Adalorna. Titties. Yeah, the fucking roof titties. The roof titties and teeth that grow down. Like, it provides a metaphysical rationale for why that happens if we didn't already have it. It explains why we don't have to see so much of what the forces in the Thakandar Valley actually do, defending or protecting the entrance into the actual pit of doom. It's a way to mesh together all the things where, like, I know I'm very critical, like, especially in anime, when you're like, all they've got to do is this. That's literally it. And then they're done. Nobody else has to fight. But this accounts for that. Like, yes, that's all they have to do. And for them, they do it within an hour or two. But because of time dilation, it's months for everybody else.
Yep.
A very, very well done. And we know from what Harriet and Maria and Alan and Brandon Sanderson have all said, that there was a massive ton of the last battle that Robert Jordan already had completely planned out and written out, which is a good thing. It means that very early on, or at least early on, he at least had an idea of the end point, and it's something he expounded upon and, and had concrete enough to where you can bring much of these arcs that come together and resolve them while also letting us see things that we may have always wanted to see. Like, what are the capabilities of the Andorran military, of the Kyrianan military, of all these different militaries? What would actually happen if all these forces got together? Well, what happens if the White Cloaks pull their head out of their ass, get behind a good leader, and actually come to help somebody for once instead of standing behind and watching an entire village defend itself? No shade at all.
That wasn't a dig.
Yeah, not at all.
It was deserved, though.
But that's great.
And I also love how really, very similar to, just any story that's written extremely well, you really do see all of the points that have been building up to now. I mean, Perrin and his fight with Slayer is a huge thing that's been building since, like, book 5. Like, it's so intense, but it's been building so slowly and it's building so deliberately that when he gets to the point where he's like, no, I know who this is. I know why I need to take them out. I know what their capabilities are, and I know who they're going after. You're like, yeah, you goddamn do, because you've been building the foundation for this the whole time, and it's great. Like, this is the moment where you need to put everything it is that you've learned together to do the thing you need to do. And Egwene, with the foundation of Elaine teaching her how to, read ter'angreal and understand weaves from a fundamental level, Avienda from her understanding of weaves and knowing them so well that she can take them apart with seemingly like not even that much effort. Perrin teaching her about how weaves work in Tel'aran'rhiod, all of that like coming together and being how she learns to do what she does. And Min's contribution to Rand learning how Kalendor works, and then Nynaeve and Maureen putting that together, and the fact that we, from book 6, I want to say, and the crossing of the streams of balefire, that builds to the point where Moradin and Rand can switch bodies, and Rand's body can just
they never watch
away
Ghostbusters. Don't cross the streams.
Right, exactly. And
only they have watched Ghostbusters.
Right?
I mean, there's a chance that actually Ishmael / Morden was alive to see and watch a copy of Ghostbusters.
Right? It's actually possible. I'm not 100% sure. Well, I'm 100% sure I don't want this to happen because I want to play Moradin. But if Bill Murray played Moradin, I wouldn't be mad.
Oh, thank God you're right. The hell I am.
Bill fucking Murray!
I know that's not your real middle name, but I've been a fan of yours since I could masturbate. Not that the two are related. There's your movie quote.
Oh, beautiful. But yeah, I just love...
Do you have any regrets? Garfield,
one
maybe?
of the reasons that this battle works so well is because Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson have been building to this point the whole time. And one of the reasons that I think it all comes together in the last battle is because, as you said, Robert Jordan had a solid idea of what would happen at the end. And he made sure that everything that he was writing built up to that end point. And he included enough notes that Brandon Sanderson knew where it was going, so that even all of the things that he added, including Hinderstep, which was not in Brandon Sanderson's notes and is a completely Brandon Sanderson sort of creation, still made its way, right? It still made its way into the last battle because it was something that that fit, something that made sense, something that actually felt like it belonged in the last battle. And I don't know. I sound like such a fanboy, but
did he pull a Hercules and finally find somewhere that he belonged?
Yes, indeed.
So I can't believe I'm going to say this. And if you tell anybody that I've said this, I will vehemently deny it, no matter how much actual audio and video evidence is readily available that we put out ourselves. To Gawain's credit, by the end
I'm going to stop
of the
you right
series, by the end of the series, I'm not saying his arc is good by any stretch of the imagination, so I'm not like praising Gawain, but within the realm of credit that can be given to Gawain, which is like 0.0000 like 2% of any kind of credit. He starts off the series essentially directionless, other than I'm going to protect my sister, and very quickly just fucking fails and like seems to, other than chastising her, doesn't really give three shits. But by the end, he finds somebody that he does care about enough to where he's like, I'll give my life to you or for you. So he does facilitate that. He does have a motive and direction, and there is a chance that without Egwene being in the state that she is, that she may not have thought about things the way that she did and discovered the flame of Tar Valon Weave. Grasping at straws to give the guy any kind of credibility as a true character. Again, it's still like you're gonna have to look on a molecular level to find how much I think Gawain does anything good. But that's about the only point of credit I can get to him. And it still involves him dying to do it. But it also does in turn give Egwene or bolster Egwene's resolve to do what she needs to do. Though I think she would have done the same thing anyway.
Sure.
But the other thing is the thematics of how the series starts and ends. Nynaeve has been someone that's been there since Rand came back as a wee baby. I would say since birth, but we all know that happened on Dragonmount, and she wasn't there. But she's tended to him as a child.
Bobby.
Yeah, she's tended to him as a child. She's watched him grow up. She's dressed his wounds that he's definitely got being a sheep herder and all that. So you have a figure
and
that
being
has
friends
been,
with Matt.
yeah. So you have a figure that's been with him from very early age, mixed with the figure that came in and saved them and Amon's Field from guaranteed annihilation. Like if Moraine and Land had not come in and pulled them out, Amon's Field would have been wiped off the map. Rand and Matt and Perrin would have been wiped off the map. I mean, so there's something to be said about the kind of closure that you feel about a series starting and ending at a relatively similar point. Kind of. Though, I don't know why nobody said, because Tam was still alive. I don't know why nobody said, let's find Tam to fucking be here when his son dies.
Yeah, I feel like it's because it's twofold. It's because he's not as reachable, because everybody knows sort of where Elaine and Avienda and Min are at every point in the battle, because they're not just sort of general soldiers. And while Tam, I absolutely think is fighting in Tarmangayden, and while Tam absolutely, I think, is doing a bang-up fucking job as a soldier in Tarmangayden, I don't think he is as reachable. And also, it's true that while his heart will be very effective by Rand's death, there's also a certain amount of like, get the three women here who might go into a rage and like really have horrible side effects by their warder dying here to do maybe something about it or whatever needs to happen, rather than just get his dad here. Because like, again, while his heart will be effective or affected, it's not the same effect.
Adam Warner brought up a good point. Who actually knows about their bond? I think Perrin would. Moraine likely would have an inkling.
Yeah.
Maybe not confirmed. Alana would have been aware, but you know.
Oh, Alana would have.
Things happen.
Right. Yeah, because I would actually believe that they keep that pretty close to the vest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brigitte knows, but Brigitte's a hero of the Horn, which at this point is presumably back in Teleron Riyadh.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway.
But yeah, I think that about covers it to the extreme depth we've gone on. This is already about, I mean, we just spent like the first 30 minutes like bullshitting and all that.
Well, but we always do that.
It's what we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got about
Would
30 minutes of bullshit.
we be us if we didn't do that?
Yeah. So you got about 30 minutes of us bullshitting and about an hour of mediocre content. So you got a very like overview style breakdown of the events of Tarmangayden. If we were to try to be any more in depth with it, it'd be multiple parts, and we're kind of doing this as our season 2 finale episode. So yeah, let us know.
Hey, maybe we'll just end every season with the last battle, and we'll just get more and more in depth every goddamn time.
That's all season 3 is. It's just getting more and more in depth down to the second layer. Like a second by second breakdown. Land stepped half an inch forward with his right foot. Land stepped another inch forward with his right foot.
Next time on the Black Tower podcast.
But yeah, so as we move into season 3 for the Black Tower podcast, season 3, year 4, because we like to be confusing. Let us know, like, what are some episodes that you think we should have done by now or would have done by now that we haven't, episodes you'd like to hear us do or see us do, or however you consume our media that we put out there for everybody to judge, free of cost, all that kind of stuff, unless you're listening live. No, they cost extra. We're fancy hosts.
$1 a month or more.
Yeah. I didn't say we were expensive, I just said fancy.
Oh yeah. I'm so fancy with a Patreon.
$1 a month. I can buy a pack of gum.
That was pretty great. I like that.
Not even a full pack, like half a pack.
Indeed.
But thank you all for and I know Josh echoes all this. A fantastic, amazing season 2. There's been so many incredible things that have happened all the way back to Gathering Madness in 2020. We're excited to see how Gathering Madness for 2021 goes for us. By the time this is live, you will have already known how it went. We already know it's going to be epic. It's going to be dope. We've got some fantastic mixology submissions. Taste is going to be wild because I can't remember fucking Scoville units, and I replaced like a 300k Scoville unit sauce with a 700k Scoville sauce. Yeah.
I'm in danger.
Yeah. So that's happening. But we're excited to see what we can bring to season 3, to bring more real-time content. Obviously, a month from now, as we're recording this, and a little under a month from the time this goes public, the TV show will be out there for everyone to enjoy. So we can't wait to see what that brings us and more content to talk about. But something we don't have to wait a month to go and look at and enjoy is thegreatblight.com.
All right, guys. Well, as we all know here at the Black Tower podcast, not everything that is touched by the shadow is lost. And that is totally true for thegreatblight.com. Now, Nablus and his team have done an amazing job of going ahead and putting this together, and it is possibly the greatest resource for those of us here in the Wheel of Time community. First off, you have this awesome homepage with posts from a bunch of your favorites. You can go and check out new things that you've never seen before, keep up to date on content creators that you already follow, and just go ahead and dip as many of your toes or your entire foot as you want into all of the different things that are going on. Now, also here, there is probably the best list of content creators. There's YouTubers, podcasters, artists, musicians, just about everything you could want. And if you don't see your favorite content creator there, that's fine. There is an application included in the site to go ahead and make sure that your favorite content creator is part of it. Just encourage them to fill out the application, and Nablus will be in touch. Now, after you've gone ahead and checked that out, you're going to want to pop over to the ever-expanding library here at the Great Blight, because it is something particularly special. Now, I don't know how many times I've gone ahead and joined a fandom only to find out halfway through my first read, looking up a character, that they die in the second to last book, which sucks. It always is very disappointing when you can't look up anything interesting about what you've read for fear of things that you haven't read yet. But they've fixed the problem over at thegreatblight.com. It is a spoiler-free wiki. That's right. That means that if you've only read up to Path of Daggers and you really want to find out what in the world you missed about Egwene because there's something you just don't understand, or if you want to get more information about Rand because you think he's super cool, you don't need to read past Path of Daggers, and it's not going to ruin you on a Memory of Light before you've gotten there. You'll know exactly where to stop. You'll know exactly where you are. And once you're done with that, make sure that you go ahead and help the site out, the content creators out, everything like that, with the beta nature of it. Up here at the top, you're going to see a problem, have a suggestion button. That is specifically for if you have any issues with the site or if you have any feedback. It's only something that we can make better with feedback and with help from the community. So come on down, check it out. Grab a couple of our videos or grab a couple of our podcasts, and we'd love to see you there.
When you're done with that and you've consumed all of the digital media that you could possibly desire, or maybe while you're listening to our podcast and whatever other random Wheel of Time podcast that's out there's not many of them. There's definitely only 3 or 4. Definitely not dozens and dozens. And the show hasn't even come out yet. And there's probably going to be dozens more.
Absolutely.
Welcome all new content creators whenever the show comes out. We're excited to have you. Welcome to the fold. Warm welcomes to everyone and all the new fans. But whenever you're looking for something more tangible, something you can put your fingers on, your hands on, and just enjoy the fine craftsmanship of, go and check out our amazing friends, Rob and Jen, over at New Creations by Jen. Everybody loves merchandise, and one of the best possible places to go and get yourself some really dope Wheel of Time inspired and themed merchandise is, of course, newcreationsbyjen.com. So whenever you go to newcreationsbyjen.com, whether you're looking for just Wheel of Time inspired stuff or not, you can find all kinds of really cool merchandise and goodie opportunities, all the way from gifts for your family, friends, significant others, whoever have you, newborns, children, toddlers, women, men, adults, anybody that wants anything, you can find something for them for sure on New Creations by Jen. Now, most of you listening are going to be looking for Wheel of Time stuff. And the easiest way to find it is to go to the catalog section on New Creations by Jen, where you can see the groups of stuff for us at Black Tower Podcasts, Malkir Talks, Talk Around Riyadh, Will Reads, The Will Weaves, and Weekly Will News. So you can find all of this stuff, and you can browse and look at all the different kinds of things that each content creator that is a part of New Creations by Jen's has taken and asked Jen and Rob to put up on the site. Obviously, we're going to use ours as an example so that you can go in and look at Black Tower Podcast stuff, because we are the Black Tower Podcast. So if you go on, you can get our Two Rivers Sniper shot glass as well as Two Rivers Sniper shirt. It's available on a red shirt. So you can go on and you can get our Frosty mug, which is one of the Frosty mug collectibles. Each Wheel of Time content creator that is on New Creations by Jen has a Frosty mug that you can go in and get for yourself. So after you get ours, make sure you get the others and get the entire set and join the Frosty Mug Society. Of course, there's more than just Frosty mugs and little shot glasses, and there's plenty of different kinds of shirts with different designs on them from all of the different content creators. Of course, you can find ours where you can get our logo in black and white on a shirt. I have one myself. It's fantastic and I love it. Jen and Rob do an amazing job of working with not only their customers, but the content creators that they help support with this amazing and very good quality merchandise. So if you have not headed over to New Creations by Jen and gotten yourself something dope, make sure you go and do that. Again, it's newcreationsbyjen.com. With that being said, season 2 has been crazy. We've got some stuff we're putting together to kind of showcase some of our favorite moments from season 2 at the Gathering Madness. So if you didn't get to see those, go back and look at our YouTube. They should be included on some kind of media, one way or the other. And let us know what you think, and let us know what your favorite moments from season 2 of the Black Tower Podcast were. And yeah, look forward to season 3.
Indeed.
But to tie things off here for the final time here in season 2, I have been your Oblige on Mahale, Andrew. Our Sorvan Mahale is here as always in spirit, Josh.
And I have been your Amin Khan Mahale, Daniel. And as always, thank you so much for listening. We love you guys. We will see you next year in season 3. And we look forward to having all of you there. But from all of us here at the Black Tower podcast, we hope that you are having a lovely morning. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
In the tower, you can bring your pain. In the tower, you can feel the strain. You've been having so much trouble just fitting in the tower.